I did a live stream of this event yesterday. Stop the ULEZ. Merton says no to ULEZ protest and council meeting. And I believe I'm going to put on some of that footage now. If I'm right, Lisa, I don't know. You sent me the timestamp. Did I not forward it? Did I not forward it? Hang on, let me find Lisa's messages. Hang on. Let's play this one by one. So Lisa, good on her. She sent me the timestamps of what happened. So this is inside the chamber of Merton. What happened? If it's still up, hopefully.
Neverson?
The mayor there in the centre.
Thank you very much for the answer. And it's been fantastic to see just how much progress has been made to make Merton one of the best.
Lisa, what was the timestamp?
To own an electric vehicle. So my congratulations go to the cabinet member and officers on the speed which they've managed to do that. On the subject of speed, can I ask the cabinet member what is happening to bring more rapid charging options to the borough?
I thank Councillor Neverson for
I got it now. I got it. Don't worry, Lisa. I've got it. I've got it.
Timing of his supplementary.
Firstly, Dawn Spraggs.
This is the lady now.
And I hope I pronounced the name correctly. Thank you for listening. You must see my question is reference to ULEZ. My question was, why are our council and our elected councillors not actively engaging with their electorate in public consultation about ULEZ? The response that I received simply stated about a consultation. Now, I have been actively engaged in information about ULEZ for over 2 years now. I was against the extension out to the North and South Circular, and so I was actively looking out for information from Merton Council. So for somebody like me to not have been aware of a consultation, I find extremely surprising. So one of my questions, or I appreciate it has to be one question, but it is all wrapped up in one question.
Hi, I see Dawn. You're in the waiting room there. It's quite fitting. Let me add you to it, and we can sort of both listen to. We can both listen to your inside of the council, if you don't mind. So welcome to the stream, Dawn. How are you?
Thank you so much. I do apologise. I had an emergency call out this morning, so unfortunately clients come first. But yes, thank you so much, and I'm really glad you found this because it seemed to disappear off of YouTube. So I was worried that possibly it had been removed and is being edited at the council to ask for a fully unedited version for my records.
Yeah, well, just so you know, we have downloaded this video anyway. So I think, unless I'm correct, Lisa Sargent.
So did you download this yesterday?
I think Lisa Sargent will correct me in the comments. That's like one of my mods in the chat. But I think there might be a copyright. Actually, I think there was something said. But we've got it right now anyway. So do you mind if I continue playing this?
No, please
just
do.
To,
absolutely, I have no issue at all.
Give the audience a reference to the context as to what's actually going on. So,
totally.
How was the consultation publicised, and how are you advising your constituents at this precise moment in time about ULEZ, as this will currently occur on the 29th of August 2023, yet still the vast majority of your constituents know nothing about what is going to be happening on their streets? You have the ability to advise your constituents. And this is what we expect from you. This is why we voted for you. I received my Merton a couple of weeks ago. It's really funny. You could have had a full-page spread in my Merton advising people. Stick to your question. Thank you very much. So,
by the way, Dawn, anytime you want to like pause on something and just say, "Oh, can I just add to that?" or whatever, just do interrupt. Yeah.
Well,
how
I,
are you?
I think this frankly demonstrates exactly what I was saying. I mean, firstly, just to put some context to this, I had already put a question in, and this was and had been supposedly sent the answer, which I didn't actually receive until the beginning of the meeting session. So I had to very quickly read through the answer, which I knew it wasn't going to give an answer. All I've ever got over the last couple of months has been flim flam and no real information. It's just been almost like publicity rather than information about how people have voted, what's been going on. I've had all sorts of letters. I've sent letters, 3 sets of letters to every single councillor in Merton. From those letters, I have received responses from 2. One of them said that they were responding on behalf of all of the Labour councillors, and that was the gentleman who actually speaks, and he is the councillor for transport, but apparently he speaks for all of the councillors in Merton. So none of them can speak for themselves. None of them can actually have a point of view. Only he can speak for them. So I received a letter back from him, but the letter simply gave information about the scrappage scheme. It didn't say how they'd voted. It didn't say how they'd gone into consultation. It rambled on about the scrappage scheme. Absolutely no information there whatsoever. I received a 5-page letter back from one of the Lib Dems, which was, well, so flim-flam, you couldn't believe it. It was 5 pages of, well, we don't kind of agree with it, but we kind of do. But then again, we kind of don't. And it was backwards. We really want cleaner air, but, we're really with the people, but we want cleaner air. And it was just ridiculous. The whole thing. I mean, I read it 4 or 5 times and just went, ugh.
As Gordon Redding says, fob, the usual council hacks its job, basically.
Absolutely. 5 pages of pure flim-flam.
Cool.
Hence why this question was put into the council. And my first question to the council was why the council elected councillors not actively engaging with their electorate in public consultation. The answer to that, yet again, if you want me to read that out, it's more flim-flam. So it didn't answer my question at all. So I re-asked the question in a slightly different format, simply asking how the council are advising their constituents about ULEZ, which is going to turn up on our doorstep on the 29th of August, whether we like it or not at present. And as you will hear, I got total flim-flam again. So if you carry on from here, you will hear the answer, but you will also hear, and I hate to use the word lies, but you will hear the councillor for transport literally lying to the council.
Yeah, I haven't actually watched all of this video, so I think Vince Corfron wants to hear the reply. So shall we listen? You tell me when this. I might have to wind it a bit forward. I'm not seeing the whole thing, but should we just carry on the video and then we can see their reply, or do you want to add more to it? I'll play it for now.
You, as our elected members, engaging with the people who elected you to advise them about the ULEZ that will be coming and be afflicted on our borough on the 29th of August, 2023.
Member British?
I thank Dawn Spraggs for her original question and for the supplementary question within her statement. So as a council, we consult fully with all residents on a whole host of issues, including cost of living, including the level of the council tax, including finances. But I need to remind Dawn and everyone here that ULEZ has all party support, going from Boris Johnson to the government, to the Liberal Democrats,
Back on, Dawn.
and to Labour.
Thank you.
And ULEZ is
Point of order, madam. I mean,
Yes.
point of order and a personal clarification. The Conservative group do not support the ULEZ expansion.
I did not say the Conservative group. I said that
Yes, you
Boris
did.
Johnson and the government are in
Boris
favour
Johnson has
of
repeatedly
ULEZ.
stated that he does not agree with.
I don't know who's speaking now, the video or you, Dawn. Wait.
As the Mayor of London, Boris Johnson was working on ULEZ. Now, we do consult fully with our residents on, as I said, on all issues, and certainly we've consulted fully with Dawn Spraggs, who wrote to all of us on the 1st of March. I responded on the 15th of March. She wrote again on the 20th of March. I responded on the 28th of March. We are a council that fully consults with our residents, and in my written answer, we've had public meetings and we have had a programme of information for our residents. But ULEZ is a TfL scheme. Thank you very much.
What you got to say about that, Dawn?
Well, what would you say? Total flim flam. So, in other words, what they're saying is that they have had consultations, but somebody like myself, who has actually been looking out for the consultations, has not been invited, has not seen them, knows nothing of them. So you would think that somebody who is searching for them would actually have found them. And the final statement of this is a TfL scheme. So it's just basically, it's TfL, nothing to do with us. Yeah. You know, you have an absolute ability to stand up, like Sutton Council, like the councils over in North London, in Pinner, etc., who have actually stood up and said absolutely no, and brought in the judicial review. Our council had the ability to do that, but they chose not to. Why? Because they are a Labour council. 90% of them are Labour councillors, and they are towing the line. They have not consulted with people who actually live in Merton, because I have spoken to hundreds of people in Merton who have gone, how is this allowed to come in? You know, I've been out there handing out leaflets, speaking to people on the street, people who've come up to me and said, can you please explain this to me? Some people that have gone, well, it's not coming here, is it? And you're going, of course it is. Oh, but it's only to the North and South Circular. No, it's already at the North and South Circular. They are taking it out to the M25 plus 2 fingers over the M25 and into Surrey. You know, there's a lovely little finger that goes around Chessington and Monkey World and on all the attractions that people come into London to see. Beautiful little finger that sticks out around them, so that they can catch people who are coming into into London and actually find them. You know, the whole thing is
I know that's a total scam. That whole Chesterton World of Adventures, that sort of little boot shape that encompasses. So that means that people who are even not from London, say they're from Surrey or one of the other counties around that area,
further away. I mean, we have literally people travel from all over the country for the weekend to come to Chessington. They stay
Yep.
in the Chessington hotels. Chessington is a huge attraction. You have a zoological park. You have the Chessington World of Adventures. You have 2 very large hotels there that are themed. A lot of the residents around there do utilize the B&B scheme to actually rent rooms out so that people can come and stay. So, but anyone outside of London who doesn't know about it, and that is the vast majority of people outside London. I was talking to some friends 2 weeks ago, very close friends of mine, and they come and visit us at least 4 or 5 times a year. Also, their sister, my friend's sister, lives near Coulsdon.
Yeah.
And
Beautiful
I was
area,
talking
Coulsdon, yeah.
about the ULEZ, and she went, what? Now, they live in Chichester, West Sussex. Neither of their cars are compliant. So it means every time they cross over into London to visit myself or visit her sister, they will have to pay £12.50 a day for the privilege to come and visit their friends and family.
Yep, I know. I think it's an absolute. I mean, you got a chap here on the screen here, John. I met him yesterday, I believe. I live in Merton and haven't heard anything from the council. To be fair, they are rotten to the core.
I have to say there is one council member, and you heard the voice of him, Councillor McLean. Now, I am overjoyed that he's actually my councillor. I spoke to him before the council elections, and it was one of the reasons that I voted it into place, because he was so anti-ULEZ. And he is a very practical man, and he's a man for the people. And he is the only councillor, as far as I'm aware, who is literally foot to the ground, and he is travelling the streets with groups of people and going to houses and giving them leaflets and explaining what ULEZ is and getting people to sign a protest form. Now, as far as I'm aware, he is the only Conservative councillor. He's the only councillor I am aware of that is a foot on the ground councillor out of 57 councillors who is actually doing anything about this, advising people, telling people. I went to a protest in Epsom about 2 weeks ago to support my local borough. And just as I was leaving, he was walking up my driveway. And I was like, oh, hello. And he said, oh, we're just in the area. You're Dawn, aren't you? And I went, yes, absolutely. And he went, oh, we're just in the area. And there was a gang of about 10 people working with him. And he said, we're just in the area handing out leaflets. And we had a little chat about it. And I said, I've got to go because I'm actually off to a protest in Epsom. And he said, oh, I won't hold you up. But he went round our whole close. They went up and down Cherrywood Lane. They came around Greenwood, all around this area, literally knocking on doors, explaining what ULEZ was. 2 days later, I had 2 of my people who I know locally come up to me and went, oh, I had no idea. And I was going, well, I've been going on about it for weeks. And she said, yes, but I had no idea that it covered things like motorbikes. And I'm like, yes. And diesel cars. And what? And I'm like, yes. And she was like, yeah. And apparently her mother has a non-compliant car, so and is an older person, and of course she will now have to try and save up for a new car, and she said she can't afford that. And I'm like, yep, here we go. And the amount of people even yesterday, as we were handing out leaflets outside, we were handing them in to people in cars. And at least 5 people, as they drove past and took leaflets, said, I have had to sell my fabulous car because of ULEZ. And I am now in debt. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is an attack on the working class people, because obviously the wealthy will have either new Tesla-like cars or they'll have old classic cars that escape it's this weird kind of middle period where all of the cars from the 90s.
No, it's even more insidious than that.
And 2000. Yeah, go on. Go for it.
If you earn, you know, over 60, 70,000 a year, well, more than that, you know, if you are even in the middle range rich, do you actually give a monkeys about £12.50 a day? Really? Seriously? Do the rich really give a monkeys about £12.50 a day? And £12.50 a day is not going to clean your air. You know,
No.
it's not like suddenly paying £12.50 is going to put a nice little filter on the back of your car. It just means that you can drive your non-compliant car around and you're paying for it.
You're
Just has
paying
been
by
said,
mile, aren't you? You're paying.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
people are used to freedom in this country. You know, my father fought in the last World War to ensure that we had freedom. Yeah. He instilled in me democracy and freedom, and that we had to fight for these rights, as he physically fought for over in France. And now some little man who is supposed to be the mayor of London is trying to take away our freedoms, and he was voted in by Londoners, supposedly, you know. And I find the whole thing.
Yeah, as I was talking to you yesterday, you were saying that you've never really been political before, and this is sort
Not
of woken you
particularly,
up
no.
to, or got you out. I mean, did you think only 6 months ago, or maybe a year ago, that you'd be outside Merton Civic? I want to play the rest of that video, by the way, because obviously you were actually
Yes,
escorted out of the
I was
building, weren't you?
absolutely physically escorted out the building. Now, you hear me. I am not a ranting potty radical. I am not somebody who would scream and shout in, you know, I am a very, you know, for the line to a certain extent. But when our rights and our ability to liaise with the people that we voted into representation is stopped by somebody simply saying, well, sit down, or you can't speak anymore, well, you have to stand up. And it wasn't just myself. There were 3 other people who asked different questions, nothing to do with you, Les. They all asked questions of the council. Not one of those 3 people got a straight answer. Not one. And so I literally, you know, and then they moved us on. Oh, well, it's time to move on now. And I'm like, whoa. You haven't answered a single question. Why did we come here to the public gallery to ask questions of our councillors if you have no intention of answering them? Why did we bother? You know, we're trying to liaise with you. We're trying to reach out to you. We're trying to get answers to feed back to our friends, our family, to the people that we support. And you are not talking to us. And all 3 of those people got flim-flam answers or no answer at all. And so I literally stood up at the end and said, you know, and went over to the mic and said, excuse me, 3 people have asked you questions today, and none of us have had an answer. None of us. And I was told
so there's public questions here. Is that within the public questions section, if you can remember? I know obviously you haven't watched the video, but if you can remember, I think I'll play a little bit of it just to try and give some context for new people in. So this is another. This
lady was as incensed as I was.
Basically, my question was asking if Clarion Housing have any chartered surveyors on their books, and the response I got back is they've got environmental health officers. I don't see that they are the same of 2. So I'd like to know if they do have any chartered surveyors on their books, because it doesn't seem to be that they have.
Is this related
Surely
to
that's a yes or no answer, isn't it? Yes, they do. No, they don't.
Councils do not have surveyors, but they employ. That work is the responsibility.
He's not speaking into the mic, guys, so that's an issue for their volume issue, if you know what I mean.
So that this through the management of housing stock, significant disrepair could arise, for instance, mold.
I mean, it's just, that's why I never bother going to councillors or MPs, because you're just going to get waffle. You're not going to get straight answers. Do people start? When do people start piping up? Is it to the mic? So that's why there's an audio issue.
Yeah. So you can't actually hear what he's saying because he's not
Yeah.
speaking to the mic. He's speaking directly to the. I mean, why do they not have? I
We will
mean,
now
why
move
are we
to
not in the
item
21st century? And why don't they have time mics? I
To
mean,
cabinet members. These have been published along with the response from cabinet members. I will read out each member's name in the order they appear in the agenda and item and invite you to ask a supplementary question. Please ensure all supplementary questions are brief
hate all
and not
this.
a statement,
It's just.
and we will get through.
Do you know what makes me like all of this? Yeah, it's
all about
just.
control.
It's all theatre because look, they're all just reading off scripts
Mhm.
and they're all just giving it by. Like I'm under the impression, Dawn, that all of these elected councillors, everything, it's just a facade. It's an illusion to make you think that there is some kind of democratic process doing. All of them read off scripts and traditions that are prepared to them from the unelected bureaucrats, i.e., the civil servants within the building. You've got the chief executive within this building. He gets more money than the prime minister on a yearly salary, right? And yet these are all just little these are just puppets that here, read this. This is the tradition. Wear this garb. Wear this pantomime theatre costume with your little chain around you and like all of this. And it's just nonsense. The whole thing is just nonsense. It's just you're partaking in a play, or oh look, there is a debate going on in the chamber. It makes it look like that there's some kind of functioning democracy that we have, and
But
it
you
isn't.
saw there was no debate because when my councillor stood up and actually stated that it made that statement, he was told to sit down. He was told to allow the other person to just carry on saying the things which were patent lies. You know, there is no debate. There seems to be no ability to actually, I mean, I agree. You cannot talk over each other. You have to allow each other to speak.
Let me just see you. This is you. This is you again. Hang on. Let's continue.
Yeah. Firstly, apologize, but three people have asked questions. Oh, sorry, Dawn. Sorry. Right. Can you please remove Dawn? Dawn, will you?
This is shocking.
Right. Dawn, this is your first warning. Can you please remove back to your seat? Thank you. Dawn, can you please remove to your seat? Right. Okay. The meeting is going to adjourn. The meeting.
See, look, this one. You see that woman, right? See this woman next to the mayor, yeah?
Yeah, she's feeding her the information.
That's an unelected bureaucrat. This is what I'm saying, guys.
An unelected bureaucrat is leaning across and telling her, right, you've got to give her 3 warnings. Yeah, you have to give her a first warning and a second warning, and then she can be removed from the chamber. So I only found this out afterwards. Yeah. And all I was asking, it was a simple request that 3 people had come and asked questions, and our councillors had not answered a simple question.
Yeah.
Not one question was answered.